Let's see the historical perspective of Indian Constitution. Before 1947, India was divided into two main entities. The British India, which consists of 11 provinces, and the princely states ruled by Indian princes. Regulating Act 1773. First time the British Parliament restored to regulate the affairs of East India Company. The Governor of Bengal was made Governor General of Bengal. An executive council of Governor General was created with four members. Pitt's India Act 1784. Commercial and political functions of companies separated. The Court of Directors managed the commercial activities while the Board of Control managed political affairs. The company territories in India were called British. Charter Act 1813. The act entered the East India Company's monopoly over trade with India. Charter Act 1833. Governor General of Bengal was designated the Governor General of India. The legislative power of the Bombay and Madras Presidency were removed. This act entered the commercial activities of the company and it's transformed into an administrative body. Charter Act 1853. The legislative and executive power of Governor General Council were separated. The General Legislative Council was created of six members, out of which four were appointed by the provincial governments of Madras, Bombay, Accra and Bengal. Indian civil service was opened as a mean to recruit officers for administration through open competition. Government of India Act 1858. After the 1857 revolt, the rule of the company was entered and the British possessions in India came directly under the British Crown. The office of Secretary of the State for India was created. He was assisted by a 15-member Council of India. The India administration was under his authority and the Viceroy was his agent. The Governor General was designated the Viceroy as well, Lord Canning. The Court of Directors and the Board of Control were abolished. Indian Council Act 1861. Indians were given representation in the Viceroy Council. Three Indians entered the Legislative Council. Provisions were made for the entry of Indians in the Viceroy Executive Council, also as non-official members. Portfolio system was recognized. Decentralization initiated with the presidencies of Madras and Bombay being restored the legislative power. Indian Councils Act 1892. Indirect election were introduced. Legislative councils expanded, gave more functions to the legislative council, such as the discussion of budget and questioning the executive. Indian Council Act 1909. Morley Minto reforms. Direct election to the legislative councils were introduced for the first time. General Legislative Council became the Imperial Legislative Council. The number of members of the Legislative Council were increased from 16 to 60. The concept of separate communal electorate was accepted for first time as the Indian was made a member of the Viceroy's Executive Council. Government of India Act 1990. Central and provincial subjects were separated. Diarchy was introduced in the provincial government with the executive councillors being in charge of the reversed list and the ministers in the charge of the transfer list of budgets. The ministers were nominated from among the elected members of the legislative council and were responsible to the legislature. The bicameral legislature was introduced for the first time at the center. It mandated three members of Viceroy Executive Council to be Indians. This act provided for the first time the establishment of Public Service Commission in India. This act extended the right to vote, and with this, about 10% of population acquires voting rights. Government of India Act 1935. An all Indian federation was proposed which would consist of British Indian and the princely state. This never materialized though. Subjects were divided between the center and the provinces. Center was in the charge of federalist, provinces in charge of provincialist, and there was a concurrent list which both created too. Tayachi was abolished at the provincial level, introduced at the center. More autonomy was accorded to the provinces, and in 6 out of 11 provinces, the bicameral legislature was introduced. A federal code was established and the Indian Council abolished. Burma and Aden were severed off from India. This act provided for the establishment of the RBI. This act continued until it was replaced by the new Indian Constitution. India Indian Independent Act 1947. India was declared independent and sovereign. The viceroy and the governors were made constitutional heads. Set up responsible governments at the center and the provinces. Assigned both legislative and executive power of the consistent Constituent Assembly of India.